Doctor Sleep on Netflix, and it feels like a long movie. I think it is a long movie, but I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. It's the sequel to The Shining, and I never understood that title. I never understood what that meant, The Shining, and the sequel does a really good job of like presenting to the audience what that means, and I really like that. I really like how they put in so much time into the characters, the character arcs, the relationships, the dynamics between people, the friendships that happen, the enemies. They do such a good job. And that's what makes the movie long, but it's well worth it. Well worth it. In my mind, I saw the movie in like three acts. In the first act, when the movie begins, we're introduced to all the main characters that we're going to be dealing with. And at the very beginning of the movie, it starts with this child who goes out to the bank of a lake or something, and she's met with this woman who appears to be not at first, but she ends up being very cynical, and you can tell that there's something really off about this woman, by the way she's being aggressive, and there's a group of people that come in like zombies and like attack this little girl, and you're left with questions like, what just happened? Did she die? What's going on? Did she get abducted? But then it goes into Danny. Danny's the little kid in The Shining, and he's in Florida with his mom, and the ghosts from the hotel seem to still haunt him. And so there's another ghost, kind of like Sixth Sense. You can talk to ghosts, and there's this one ghost, particular, I believe, from the same hotel, who's like a good ghost, and is telling him like they're not going to stop coming for you. They saw how much you shine. You have these special abilities, and they feed off of it. They feed off of fear. They feed off of pain. Until they kill you, basically. And so, eventually, the ghost tells them you have to use their own power against them. And they don't really explain this, like, but you kind of get throughout the whole movie, what happens and how he uses his own powers to lock these ghosts in boxes in his own mind. And that's going to come into play. It's going to be very important for the end of the movie. But essentially, Danny, it skips ahead to 2011, and Danny's all grown up, and he is a mess. I mean, he is getting drunk, getting into fights, and essentially, he kind of runs away from himself. He runs away from that town. He moves. He moves. He takes a bus to a new town called, what is it called? Is it Fairfax or Fairview in New Hampshire, something like that, or Fraser, New Hampshire? And there he meets Billy, and Billy's a really good guy. He's one of the good ones, and Billy notices right away that that Danny is like suffering, right? He's like, there's something wrong with him, and so he can tell right away, and so he helps him out. I guess because he had a similar past, and that kind of thing, and so he introduces Danny to AA. Gets him a small little like studio apartment that's like really inexpensive to get on his feet, a little job, and eventually he does the AA thing, and he meets this doctor, and he notices something really special about Danny, and the way he notices is that at the AA meeting, the doctor is like fiddling with his wrist because he's concerned about his watch that went missing. Hey, what's up, SVD? Did I say that right? How you doing? Hope you're having a great day, great morning, great evening, wherever you are. I'm just going over this movie review. Really love this movie. Doctor Sleep was impressive. It was an impressive movie. It was well done, through and through. The acting was superb. Anyways, but we're also introduced to this little girl named Abra, and she there's no connection to any of the characters, only that she has a really special shine. She's very powerful with her magic and what she can do, and communicate, like psychically in this. She's got a lot of powers. She's just a little child. And so we're introduced to all these characters, and that's in the first act. And then by the time the second act comes around, it's 8 years later. Okay, 8 years have gone by, and Danny is in a much better place. He's not drinking anymore. He's just very in a good place. What's up, Alejandro? How's it going? ¿Qué pasa, mi amigo? Estoy hablando de una película que miré, how do you say, last night. And so I'm just talking about it and giving my review. And that's a great, I highly recommend it, Doctor Sleep, if you haven't seen it. I had my reservations about it because it was like a sequel to The Shining. Like that's gonna be weird, but no, it was a really great movie, great story, great plot, everything. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But essentially, in the first act, you're introduced as well to these like creatures. They remind me a lot of vampires, but instead of sucking on blood, they suck on like what they call steam, and I guess like your parts of your spirit or something. And the way they like the way the monsters enjoy this your soul, your steam, is through fear and pain. So they cause a lot of fear and pain on you to suck all that steam out of you, your spirit, and then as like they just suck all that out like vampires, right? They're like these ghostly vampires. Anyways, so then it's 8 years later. We're into Act 2 right now, and Danny is getting used to his shine again. He's becoming more aware of his powers, and I kind of skipped something. Let me go back a little bit. But he meets this doctor, right? He's talking about how the doctor is fiddling with his wrist, and he's concerned about something. And Danny picks up immediately that he's concerned about his watch, and he tells him, he's like, "Hey, you left your watch on a bathroom on a soap thing at the hospital." And so the doctor goes back, he finds it, whatever, and he's so like surprised by this. He's like, "How did you know?" He invites Danny to his office to have a meeting. He's like, "How did you do that? How did you know? That's really impressive." Well, anyways, the doctor offers him a job as a orderly, and so he accepts it, and so he does that for a living, and he becomes really good at comforting the old that are dying. It's like his job, right? He's becoming really good at it. So now, okay, now it skips 8 years. It goes 8 years, and now we're in Act 2, basically. And Danny is much better, in much better place. No, this is not my first live, but I don't have really good equipment to do it, but I'm trying my best. Anyways, thanks for your comments and all that. If you have any questions about the movie, I'll try to answer it. But in Act 2, he meets Abra through it's really interesting how he meets her, how they meet. Because he has a shine, like that special abilities, and so does the girl Abra. She has a special shine. They have like a psychic connection. They like pen pals. They meet through the ether, right? They don't meet face to face or anything. They're just communicating, like through their heads, right? And Danny, the studio apartment he lives in used to be rented out by a mathematician. So one of the walls is a chalkboard wall, and so he keeps getting messages by chalk, like hello, and so he replies, hello, and so they have this like long pen pal conversation throughout the years. So eventually, we got a comment here. Indie Slay, what's up? You liked it? You like it? I like the movie. I'm gonna watch it again. I loved it so much. I think I've already watched it 4 times. But essentially, right, Act 2, we're in Act 2. Their bond becomes stronger. Their friendship becomes stronger as they talk back and forth. But something happens in Act 2. In Act 2, these monsters, they feed off shine. They feed off the special people. They track them down. They find them. They abduct them, and they feed off of them. So that's what they do with this little boy who's playing baseball. And pretty sick. Pretty sick, the whole scene. It's pretty disturbing. I mean, the movie has its disturbing and horrifying, parts to it, which make it very scary and just horrifying, right? Well worth it if you like that kind of stuff. But essentially, they kidnap a little kid who's playing baseball, because he's like, people are talking about him, how great of a player he is, It seems like he knows where the pitcher's going to throw the ball, and he does. He does know because he's got the shine. He knows he can read people's minds. And so uh, there's this character named the Crow. He's part of the group of the monsters, and he's tracking the kid. And so this group finally abducts this little boy, and they take him out. They take him out to a secluded area, like an abandoned corn factory or something, and they torture the kid. This is a little kid we're talking about. They torture him. They pull out a knife. There's a line that's like that sticks in my head. The little boy's crying and he's being like held back, and he's like, "Are you gonna hurt me?" And the lead witch, the lead monster, whose name is Rose, she goes to him and goes, "Yes, we're gonna hurt you." Like that was terrifying. And so she pulls out a knife and starts like cutting him up, and and they all start sucking up the steam that comes out of his mouth, like it's part of his soul or something. And she explains that like fear and pain purifies the steam, and this is what the monsters feed on. You know. I did miss a character in Act One though that I have to quickly talk about. There's this character named Andy, and she's 15 years old, and she has the shine. She has a very powerful shine, which she can do a lot like a Jedi. She can tell you what to do. Like if she says, you know, go to sleep, you'll go to sleep. If she says, go jump off a cliff, you'll go jump off a cliff. She has that power. And so what she's been doing in Act One is meeting up with these older men who are like predators, like predators who want to like sleep with little girls. So she meets up with these older men and like sets them up. Like basically, she tells them to go to sleep. They go to sleep, and then like she takes the money, and then scars them with a snake, like with a knife. She takes this little carving knife and carves a little snake bite on their cheek, like two little marks. And anyways, that's what she's been doing. And so Rose and this Crow guy, they tracked her down and they bring her back to their campsite because they want to turn her into one of them because they need that kind of power. They've been looking for somebody who can do that, who can just look at somebody and go, "Come with me." And they do all the commands, right? Like a real magic thing, right? So they convert her into one of the monsters, and you see that process. You basically die, but you're alive. You come back alive as this monster, these weird spiritual soul-sucking monsters, ghosts or whatever. And so, okay, now back to Act Two. Um, so the little boy, he ends up dying. They kill him and they bury him, these monsters. Okay, then they move on. But something happened that was strange. Abra, this girl with the special shine who's been communicating psychically with Danny, can feel and can see everything they did to the boy, and she is horrified by it. And Rose, who's like the head of the group, she's like the head witch or whatever you want to call it, she notices there's like a power around them watching them. And in Act Two, they express how there's a lack of people who have this power, and like they feed off of this power, and if they don't feed enough, they die. And so they have to keep feeding off these kinds of people to live like forever. One of them has lived like centuries. They've seen Roman Empire come and go. They've sailed across oceans. They were here whenever they conquered the U.S. He's been one of those monsters that's lived for such a long time. He's been killing people like this for a long time. Anyways, so they have a problem. They're having a problem finding special people. And so whenever she senses this huge, massive power around them while they're feeding off this kid, she realizes that whatever was watching them has like a super shine, and their interests peak like heck. They're like, we gotta find whoever this is because they have a lot of power and we need it because we're dying because we're not feeding well. So they make it a mission to find this person. And Abra, the girl, she is so freaked out by it, like completely freaked out, and psychically tells Danny like there's been a murder. They murdered a boy, baseball boy, and like she's freaked out, completely freaked out by this. And Danny's like, oh man, this is crazy. Like like he's just going through the motions of I can't believe this is happening. Um, so eventually, Abra, what she does is she she wants to know about more about what happened. And so what she does is she does a little investigating on a computer to see all the kids that have been missing, and she notices that one of the boys, the little kid, is the baseball boy, like that got tortured and killed. And she when she's home, she's looking at the picture and looking at the profile she printed, and she starts to have these visions of what happened, and who these people are and like where they are. And so she's able to track psychically Rose, the head like witch, the head whatever, the head monster, and she tracks her and she sees her and she's like grocery shopping whatever, and Rose notices she's being tracked, and through some kind of weird magic, like looking through a glass mirror, she like sees her, and she like reaches out with her hand to grab her, and Abra freaks out because she's like, "Oh my god! Like you're touching me! Like you're in my head! Like oh my god, this is crazy! Like get away from me!" And so the Rose lady, the head witch, she goes flying back. She's like, the glass smashes. She goes flying back and lands on her ass. And she's like, oh my God, I've never in my life felt this power. Like she's so impressed, right? She's freaked out, but also impressed. And just like, I can't believe this happened. So she goes back to the group and she's like, we gotta track her down. We gotta find her. And so Abra is so scared that she goes to Danny. She tracks Danny in the real world and finds him. And Danny's surprised. He's like, "How did you find me?" He's like, "Well, I have these psychic powers, and it's kind of like GPS. I can track you down." And she goes, "Look, this is what's going on. There's a group of people that do this thing, and like they do this, and we have to stop them. And Danny's like, I don't know. Like I don't want to get messed up with this. Like I'm in such a good place, and the whole thing with the shine is like I don't like to show people. I don't like to show that I have this power. I hide it, for my own safety. He's scared, right? He's just scared. And so she's a little disappointed at that fact that Danny turned it down, that he's not going to help him. So she's a little disappointed. But Danny himself has a bit of a conversation with this ghost that has always been there, like a good ghost. And it was the ghost from the beginning of the movie that has this little conversation with Danny about how the ghosts from the house, the hotel, they're gonna keep coming to you because they know who you are. They saw you, they spotted you, and they want your shine. And so that same ghost appears to him and is like, you have to help this girl. Like they're gonna keep coming. They know that she exists. They're going to go get her and they're going to kill her. If you don't do anything about it, that's what's going to happen. You have to do something. So Danny's like, all right, okay, I'll do something about it. So Abra does this thing where not Abra, the head witch, Rose, she does a remote viewing thing, right? She's like asleep and like is able to rise above. And there's this incredible visual scene where she's flying above the earth, and it's like, she's just flying through the air and is like looking for Abra, and eventually tracks her down and like flies down into the house. And the way they filmed it is spectacular. Like what they did right there is like mind-blowing. Anyway, she flies in, the camera's like spinning around, and she flies in through a window and lands inside Abra's room. And Rose, the head witch or whatever, she's like looking back to see if Abra's sleeping, and she's in her bed sleeping. And so she's like in her head essentially, and there's a wall of files, and she's like looking at the files, and it's Abra's memories and thoughts, and she's trying to get in her head and look through things. And so Rose is like looking through a file cabinet and just reading along, and it slams her hand, like to the point where it's like bleeding. It's like really disgusting and like broken. And so she's like stuck. She's trying to get her hand out. She can't. And so then Abra wakes up and she's moving towards Rose, and she's like freaking out. She's like, "Don't touch me! Get away from me! Like, you little freak! You know, you're just a little child." And she's over there stuck with her hand, like she's freaking out. And so Abra gets inside of her head, and she's like going through all the files, trying to figure out who this person is. And Rose is like freaking out. She's like, "Get out of my head!" And so she like forcefully takes her hand out of the cabinet, like peeling her skin off, and like it's so disgusting. And she's trying to get out of this place, and like the floors are like sticky, and there's a big spotlight on her, like she's been caught, and she's trying to get out, but the floor is sticky, and you can see how her feet are like getting stuck to the floor, and she's slowly trying to like get back one step at a time, and finally she's like she jumps out of the window that she came in through and goes flying across the world, and then her soul like slams against her body when she's sleeping, and she like falls over, and her hand is like all fucked up and bleeding and disgusting, and she's like, "It was a trap, you know, she trapped me." And they're all like really pissed. At that same moment, they have an issue because they haven't been feeding well. One of the older guys, the older monsters, is dying because he hasn't been feeding and whatnot, and so he ends up dying, and he turns into dust, like kind of like when vampires come to sunlight. That's kind of what it reminds me of. There's a lot of similarities to vampires in this, but essentially he just turns into dust and disappears. And what's crazy is they all feed off his steam as soon as he becomes dust and steam. They all just like feed off of him because they're starving, you know. And so at that point, Abra communicates to Danny like, "Hey, I did it. I trapped her. I hurt her. Like, I know who this is." And Danny's not impressed. Danny's actually worried because Danny's like, "Oh shit! Like, they know where you live. Like, we got to take care of this." So Danny goes to his friend Billy. Billy's the one that got him the job, got him the apartment, you know, and has been a really good friend to him. And he goes up to Billy and goes, "Look, Billy, I'm gonna tell you a story. It's gonna sound effing crazy, but you know, you believe me. You know who I am. You consider me a good person, so I want you to hear me out." And so he convinces Billy that they need to kill these monsters. And so Danny and Billy go out to set a trap because they know they're coming for Abra. And so they set up a pretty smart trap. Abra has a lot of special powers, and there's a scene where Abra's waiting for them. She's sitting on a one of those little wooden tables outside of the park, right? And she's kind of like meditating. And so they all appear. They're all like, "Hey, hey, little girl, we're your friends. We're here to be your friend." Like really creepy. And so Andy, she grabs this like what do you call it? Like this little injector thing with like sleep serum, and she puts it in her neck, in Abra's neck, and you're like, "Oh fuck, they got her," but they haven't because that was like it was a ghost projection of her. It wasn't really her, and so they fall for the trap. Right? They're there in the woods, and they're like, "What's going on? She's not really here." And so Danny and Billy have these rifles, sniper rifles that like with scopes that because Billy used to be a hunter, and so that's where they got the guns from. And so, oh, but I skipped a whole part. I gotta tell you, it's like really important in Act Two. Um, so before they set up that trap, Danny takes Billy to the baseball site because they need to see if this is real. And so, with using Abra's help, they're able to track down where he was buried. And so Danny and Billy go out, and they go out to this old factory, corn factory or something, where they buried the boy, and they start digging, and they find the boy, and that like freaks them out because they're like, "Okay, this shit is real." So after that point, that's when they think of a plan to set up the monsters, and that's what they do. They do a trick where Abra's sitting on this table. It's a ghostly projection, and so they all come to her, but it's a trap. And that's when Billy and Danny start shooting at him with their rifles and start killing them one by one. And they basically kill everybody except for the Crow and Rosie. Rosie's not there because if Rosie went, uh, they felt like they didn't want her to go because Abra was in her head, and she could know where she was and whatnot, and could feel her, right? So they didn't want her to go. So it was just the other like rest of the monsters that went to go get Abra. But essentially, they kill them all one by one. They like shoot them one by one. There's a big gunfight. At the very end, Andy, the 15-year-old girl who was turned into a monster, she's the one that's left. And Danny she's hiding inside the RV they came in. And so Danny comes up to the door with the gun, and as soon as she pops her head out, he like fires, but he's out of bullets. And so he's like, oh shit. So he starts like reloading. And as soon as he starts reloading, Andy comes out of the RV and is like, stop. Right? She starts using her like Jedi powers, right? She's like, stop. You're feeling sleepy. Go to sleep. And then Danny falls asleep. And she has the gun now, is about to blow his head off, and Abra's like, wake up, Danny, wake up. So he like wakes up, and she's about to blow his head off, but here comes Billy coming around the corner and shoots her in the throat, and then shoots her again, and like she falls dead. But before she can die, she looks at Billy and goes, kill yourself. And so Billy takes the gun, loads it, and shoots his head off. And you're like, oh no, not Billy, because he's like one of the good ones. And Danny's like, oh fuck, he's like, you just fucking killed my best friend. So he's like pretty upset about it. And but there's still shit going on, right? Abra realizes the crow isn't here. He's the only one. Like, they killed the rest of them, but the crow isn't there. It turns out the crow made his way to the house where Abra was and kills the father, stabs him in the freaking heart, and takes Abra and injects her with his stuff and takes her. Hold on, I'm gonna let my dog out. So now we're like in Act 3 essentially. Act 3 is like the action, everything's been building up to this point. So here we are, Act 3. We have the crow who's driving Abra in a van. She's like really sleepy, and he's like driving her, and she's like freaking out, and she's like really sad because she knows her dad died. And the crow is being really just, man, he's just like, he's just being so hard and cold. He's like, you're gonna die, like this was always going to happen no matter what you did, and what you did was completely useless. And so she's freaking out, and so is Danny. Danny feels like, Danny runs to the house, sees that the dad was stabbed in the heart, and sees that she's gone. He's freaking out to the point where he thinks he lost. Like that's it. There's nothing I can do. So he goes back to his room, and he doesn't know what to do. He's calling for ghosts to help him. He's calling for Abra, but he can't connect with her like psychically. And he's about to drink, and he smashes the bottle because he's like, no, I'm not doing that. But it's like he's in a very problematic state. He doesn't know what to do. Then he remembered that there is maybe one thing he can do with his psychic powers. Instead of trying to communicate with her directly, he can use his head like a radio and listen in to like things. And that's what he does. He's like listening in to see if he can like hear her voice or whatever, and he does. He finds her. And so as soon as he finds her, he like psychically puts himself in the van, and he's talking to Abra, and he's like, look, Abra, I found you, and you gotta trust me on this. I'm gonna do something. And so Danny possesses Abra while she's in the van, while she's sleeping. And so this is kind of a really funny part in the movie. So Danny possesses Abra. Abra's like in the back laying down sleepy, and she suddenly like gets up and is like, man, this is like one of the worst hangovers I've ever had. And the crow's like, okay. and Abra keeps talking like Danny's talking now, but it's coming from this little girl. And he's like, the crow is like, what the hell's going on here, right? Like, you're talking really weird. And so he realizes that it's like something's going on where somebody's like possessing her. And so Danny, in this little girl, says, yeah, I'm the guy who killed all your friends, and I'm gonna kill you and everybody else. And the crow's like, yeah, funny, like that's a neat trick, but blah blah blah. And so this is like one of the smartest things they did to like save her. Like it was really smart. So Danny, while in the body of Abra, possesses the driver and like causes him to like drive towards a tree trunk, and like smashes against the tree trunk, and he wasn't wearing his belt, so he goes flying through the front windshield, and just like is just his head is smashed. He's like 20 feet away from where the van is. He flew through the windshield and he's dying. And so that's how Abra was able to get away. And so Abra gets away. That the crow dies, and Abra's walking, and like every time a monster dies, Rosie freaks out because she can feel it. She's like, ah, like no. So everyone's dead but Rosie at this point. Everyone's dead but Rosie. So at this point, um, uh, the kid Abra walks to like a motel or whatever, and Danny picks her up, and they have a little conversation in the car, and it's like, look, she's gonna keep coming to you, and there's only one plan I can think of to like finish her off, right? There's only one place I can think of that could potentially kill her, and that's the house. That's the house from The Shining. That's the hotel. So they drive to the hotel because they know it's like haunted and there's ghosts there, and that could work to their favor in some way. They can use those powers against her. And so finally she shows up at the hotel. She walks in, and it's really interesting because you have these little like homage moments of the house, The Shining, right? The blood coming from the elevators, the ghost in there and whatnot. It's actually really cool. They did a great job on that. And Danny's in the house, and he's like revisiting the rooms, and he's like picking up on energies and picking up what happened between his dad and his mother, like how freaky it got, and he's just seeing these visions, and he goes to the bartender, and the bartender's his dad, Jack, and he's having this conversation with him, and like it's a really freaky conversation. It's like about family, and like Jack has a very negative view about it, and he's trying to get him to drink, and Danny's like, I'm not gonna drink this stuff, like get it out of my face. And like it's just very emotional for him. And finally, Abra and Danny wait for her on the stairs, and so Rose makes her way to them. And as she does, she comes to the desk where the typewriter is, and where like the infamous typewriter, and she's standing there. And Danny and Abra like do some kind of psychic trick, and they get in her head, and they like send her into the maze, and she's in the maze, like the infamous maze from the movie, and she's running around trying to get Abra, but Abra keeps like coming out of nowhere and slicing her. She like slices her like 3 times before she can catch her by the throat. But it was all a trap. It was all in her head, and she didn't know what was going on. And so Danny, from the beginning of the movie, and throughout the movie, we get a sense that he's got this power to trap people in these like boxes, like trap ghosts, boxes that are like in his head. It's really weird. And so he's trying to do that. She's trying to trap Rose into one of these boxes in his head, but he fails. She's able to get out of it, and she like snaps out of it. And so now we're here at the final fight. It's Rose against Danny, and Danny tells Abra to run, right? Like, get out of here. And so they have a final fight. They have a final, one-on-one. And Danny has his axe, and he freaking swings at her, like, boom, right? And she tries to catch it, but it's, like, too strong, and it, like, cuts her shoulder a bit. But even as it cuts her, she takes the axe and, like, takes it and basically hits him in the leg, and it basically cuts him really bad. And then she ends up like picking Danny up and throwing him like over the stairs, and he falls down the stairs, and he's like at the bottom of the stairs. And now Rose like jumps on him and starts like sucking the steam out of him, right? Like sucking his soul. And she's like, "Oh my God, like you're crazy. You've been like horrified, like you've been like horrified by ghosts your whole life. This stuff tastes amazing." And then she realizes, like, what are you hiding in your head? You got a bunch of boxes, like lock boxes, treasure chests, like hiding a bunch of stuff. And he's like, what are you hiding up there? And Danny's like, oh, there's nothing special there. There's just people that are starving. And so he opens all the boxes in his head, and all the ghosts from the hotel appear, and they freaking jump at Rose and start sucking her soul, and she's freaking out. And you got like all these ghosts from the hotel finally free, and they're just sucking her soul up until there's nothing left. They just kill her. And then the ghosts turn on Danny. the ghosts, they turn on Danny, they possess him. They possess him to the point where like he turned into Jack, like from The Shining. He's got the axe, he's possessed, and now he's after the little girl. He's after Abra, and it's funny because like he ends up catching up to her, and says like the same lines from the movie, right? It's like, you've been a very naughty girl, you've been a bad girl, and it's like, and he's about to slice her with the axe, and she's just standing there unafraid, and like, and she's able to get to Danny, like, who's being possessed, and finally Danny comes back, and he's like, oh my god, like, you gotta run away, like, I can't hold this back any longer, like, you're in big trouble, like, I can't hold this, I can't escape this. The girl is like, no, you can't stay here, you're gonna die. And Danny's like, look, this is where I was meant to be, this is where it ends, this is where I end things. And so Abra runs away, and Danny, still possessed, he becomes possessed again, and he goes to the boiler room. And the reason why he goes to the boiler room is because before all this stuff started in the house, Danny went to the boiler room and turned everything up, and like basically it's gonna like blow up, essentially, like the whole boiler thing, whatever, it's gonna blow up in flames. And so the ghost who's possessing Danny is trying to stop it. It's like you can see that the whole thing's like shaking and about to blow up. And so the ghost is like trying to like turn a knob to turn it off, but like Danny's holding him back, and so the ghost can't do it. So eventually the thing like starts like combusting, and fire escapes, and like gasoline, I don't know, something gets lit up, and the whole room is on fire. And at the very end, Danny is there, and he just accepts his fate, that he's going to die there. And he sees his mom appears in front of him, and just kind of like gives him comfort. And then like he turns into the boy that we saw from the beginning of the movie, from Shining and whatnot. And the whole hotel burns up, the whole entire thing burns up, and Amber is outside. And that's kind of where it ends. The police come, and that's kind of where it ends. And then it goes to the very last bit where she's back home, and she's having a conversation with Danny. And for a split second, you think Danny's alive, but you realize he's a ghost. And so Abra's having a conversation with Danny, and she's like, and Danny's pretty much like, don't do what I said. Don't do where you hide who you are. Don't hide your shine. Keep don't hide it. Don't do that. Like, just be your best full version, and let the world see. And that's kind of where it ends. So that's it. That's the whole story there, the whole plot. Amazing movie. Like I said, the character arc for Danny is really cool. The way they make him to be an alcoholic, but he's like not, he hasn't come to terms with the special gift that he has, the shine that he has. And so his arc is about becoming not just better, but also becoming like with peace with his powers, and using his powers. And the more he spends time with Abra, the more his powers like unfold, and he realizes he's got a really strong power, just like Abra. They're about the same as far as like the powers they have and the powers they can use. And so he was always afraid of it, and so he comes to terms with it. And finally, you see the whole arc. You see the whole arc of his journey. It's actually, they did a really good job with that character. As far as Abra goes, she's her arc isn't as intense, because she's not necessarily the main character, but she is a big part of the movie. She's like almost like the main character. But I would say this: if they made a third movie, which they could easily, with this new storyline and how they connected the house with how these like monsters operate, and the ghost or whatever, and how the people with the shine operate. There's a huge opportunity to make a third movie, or potentially a series, So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how they left it, and how they introduced all these elements to really, because The Shining itself, you watch The Shining itself and you're like, this is like a scary ghost movie, and that's about as far as you can get to it. But the sequel, it just adds so much information. Like you have a better understanding of this world we live in, like with all these ghosts, and what The Shining means. Because it was very just, the movie The Shining was more about the horror and the ghosts and whatnot. It wasn't really about The Shining. It wasn't about how this world operates, and what it meant to be a person that shines. So the sequel does a really good job of like explaining all that. And anyways, check it out. It's a really good movie. I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. I watched it recently, and yeah, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars, a 10 out of 10, whatever you want to say. Um, and the actor who plays Danny is, what's his name? Like Eugene McGregor or whatever, that English guy who or Scottish. I don't know if he's Scottish or English, but he's the guy who was in Star Wars and whatnot. Um, but anyways, yeah, if you liked my little review of the movie, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I'm building up my channel to 1,000. That's my goal. As soon as I reach 1,000, I'm going to release my movie on YouTube for free, and you can check that out. It's a movie I worked on for 15 years. I produced it, wrote it, directed it, and did some of the acting in it and whatnot. I recently won Best Actor at a film festival this year, as well as being nominated as India Tour of the Year. Anyways, that's my review. I hope you liked it, and I hope you get a chance to watch it. I highly recommend it. So, having that said, I'm gonna end this little live, and yeah, go watch it. Go watch it. It's a good one. And I'll be seeing you soon, everybody. You all have a good one, and I'll do another movie review. I'm trying to do movie reviews later at night, and then in the morning just do like the things that I've been doing, which is just come on here and just talk. But I kind of switched it up because I fell asleep early last night, and so I wasn't awake to do the movie review last night. But that's my plan. My plan is to do movie reviews at night, like around 11 p.m. to midnight, and then in the mornings do like my usual live chat stuff. What's up, Krishna? How you doing? Did you catch my movie review about Doctor Sleep? Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it, man. It's a really good movie. It has some really interesting the way it's like the way the story unfolds, the character arc, the way they designed, Danny as the main character. They did such a good job with that. 2019. Yeah, I think it's a 2019 movie. I think you're right. I don't know if have you seen it? Have you seen the movie, Krishna? I enjoyed it. And the girl who plays Rose, like the head monster, head witch or whatever, it's the girl from the Mission Impossible movies. She's the one that's like becomes like the main girl for like Tom Cruise's character and whatnot. But she did an amazing job playing that character. I'm hoping they make a third movie, because I think they have enough. They've built a world now that makes sense, because the original Shining never made sense to me as a story. It was scary, and it was like, you went through the whole thing of Jack getting possessed, and it was a very scary situation, but you just didn't understand like the story. Like what was the story? What was like, what was going on? Yeah, it's a simple horror movie in a hotel, but like there was a lot missing. Like I never understood what The Shining meant. Like what does that mean? Like it was such a weird title for the movie. So but the sequel does a really good job of like exploring that out and informing you what The Shining means, So yeah, I mean, even so, if you can watch it back to back, watch The Shining first and then watch the sequel. I mean, pretty different movies, but I think the sequel did it so much justice. Like it just, I'm always afraid of sequels. Like I'm afraid they're gonna be just really bad, and just something that people are just trying to make money from the original title and whatnot. But Doctor Sleep is a Stephen King story, so Stephen King did an amazing job of filling us in. Like I said, like watching the movie Shining, I had so many questions, like what the hell, like what is this, what's going, like why, a lot of why, like why is this happening? Like who, like why is it haunted? Why, like it just never made sense. It was just like a ghost story, but nothing was explained. And that, like I said, the sequel did such a good job of explaining what that meant, what the shining means, and how these ghosts feed off of your shining, you know. So pretty, I thought it was impressive. The storytelling was impressive. The story itself was impressive. You know, and like I said, it fills you in with everything. All the questions that I had about The Shining were answered, you know. And what's crazy is like it's not like I was asking for a sequel. Nope, I don't think anybody was asking for a sequel, but at the same time, I'm glad they did it because they answered so many questions, you know. It's on Netflix. I have Netflix. That's how I watch movies. Um, I did recently. I did a little review on a movie called The Outfit, and another movie I give like high regard, high marks. If you haven't watched The Outfit, it's an incredible gangster movie. Incredible gangster movie. It's all done in one location. It has so many plot twists. It keeps you guessing. You have no idea where it's going. Like absolutely no idea where it's headed. You know, there's so many character reveals. There's so much lying going on. There's so much manipulation. It's a really good movie. Really good movie. I highly recommend it. It's shot really well. Um, Somebody made a comment that it feels like a play in a lot of ways, and I kind of agree with that because it's all in one location, you know, but still well done. I thought still well done. I thought some of the acting wasn't all that great. Like the main boss mafia guy, I didn't think he was that great of an actor. I didn't think he was the right choice for that character. The guy who plays Francis seemed a little. He seemed pretty good, but at the same time, not really. But the main guy who plays the Englishman, fantastic. Like he carried the whole movie basically. Um, and the guy who plays Richie, he did a great job. Like his acting was amazing. The way he portrayed that character was like perfectly, you know, just perfect. But anyways, that's the other movie I talked about. But in this one's Doctor Sleep, I want to say that all the actors did fantastic. Everyone who played their characters played it perfectly. I didn't see any miscast. You know, it was just all done really well. They picked the right people to play those characters. You know, um, but even the girl who plays Abra did such a good job. Her acting, the way she played the character was just spot on. She did an amazing job. The lady who plays Rose, amazing job. She did an amazing job playing the head witch and whatnot. Um, but anyways, that's my review there of the Doctor Sleep. I was actually very afraid of watching it because I thought it would be shitty, but I was wrong. It's not a shitty movie. It's a really good sequel. And for some reason, sequels always, not always, but for most of the time, you're always like, I don't know. Like, you know, and sometimes they come up short. But they did such an amazing job with this one that I'm looking forward to a third one. I hope somehow, I don't know how they're going to do it or how they would do it. I hope they make a third one, which was probably hard to figure out, but I'm hoping there's a third installment of uh you know, now the way I look at it, I don't know if you M Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable, Mr. Glass, and those three, and Split, those three movies, how they connect. There's a huge possibility to do that with the Shining movies. You know, there could be a third installment that really just connects them all together in a really big way. But you know, anyways, yeah, really good movies. So I'm gonna end it there. Unless Krishna, you want to talk about anything else? Any of your favorite movies? What's your favorite movie, Krishna, right now? What's a good movie you've seen lately that you recommend I watch? Maybe I'll go watch it if I can find it on Netflix, and I'll watch and do a little movie review. Um, but it's such a beefy story, Doctor Sleep. There's so much going on. You know, they did such a good job with Act One. They took their time with it, like 40 minutes. Act 1 is like 40 minutes, and it's like they introduce all the characters you need to be introduced to, but they do it in such a very slow manner. That's like it's just they did such a good job not rushing through the movie. Yeah, on Netflix. Do you have Netflix? Or it doesn't matter. I can try to find it. If you recommend a movie, I can see if Netflix has it, but I can try to find it somewhere else, of course. So yeah, right now, this year, I haven't watched a lot of movies, but the movies I have watched, like The Outfit and Doctor Sleep, I gave them very high marks. Really impressed by those movies. I'm not disappointed whatsoever. Panic Room. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of Panic Room. I think I've seen it a long it and do a little movie review on it and watch. If I can't find it, I'll probably do a movie review on like a different movie that I find on Netflix that I haven't seen. There's so many movies, but I'm so afraid to watch a movie on Netflix because a lot of times they just look like shit. I'm just not interested. So I'm like very careful in like choosing what movies I want to watch. Uh, you know. So, anyways, yeah, those are my like 2 cents there. Watch Panic Room. Okay, I'll look for it. I'll look for it. There's a couple of movies I do want to watch that are on my list. So I may go through those and do like a movie review. But like I said, I'm trying to do a movie review at night. My schedule got all switched up, so I'm thinking about doing movie review night, like around 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, and in the mornings do more of a just chit chat, like, hey, how you doing, like, what's up, type of thing. But I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to utilize YouTube. Of course, I'm always posting about what I do, my passions and whatnot. Like today, for example, we're going to be shooting part of the music video, so I may do like some clips and share it online. But okay, all right, Panic Room it is. I'll go look for it. Anyways, yeah, I guess I'm gonna head out, and hope everyone has a good day. And like I said before, I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, I could probably find it on DVD. But I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm gonna release my 17th feature film that I made. It's an independent movie. All the movies I make are independent, and I'm gonna release it on YouTube, and it's gonna be for free. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys watch it. It took me, like I said, it took me 15 years to make, so I hope you give it some time to watch. Really a pro. And yeah, I appreciate that, Krishna. I hope you give it a chance, and I hope you let me know what you think of the movie. And I'll probably talk about it. I'll probably talk about Stray Kids a little more before I release it. So, till next time, my friends out there, everyone out there who's watching, I appreciate it as always. And my best friend on YouTube right now, Krishna, I really appreciate you always. You all have a great day or great evening wherever you are in the world. I'll be seeing you soon. Peace out.